If you're interested in the Adventures of Tintin by Herge and are curious about how you could maybe pick up all of the adventures in one fell swoop, in this episode we'll be looking at 3 different options. All 3 of these box sets are from Egmont, the current publishers of all the Adventures of Tintin, or all but one of the Adventures of Tintin in English currently, and all of them have different things to offer. This is the anniversary collection that was released earlier this year in 2019 to celebrate the 90th anniversary of Tintin and collects 23 full-sized paperback albums. I made a detailed video dedicated to this box set, which I'll link in the description below and at the end of this video. For the purposes of this video, I'm not going to go over everything I talked about in that video, but just use this as a comparison to mainly look at these 2 hardcover collected box sets. I'd like to thank Penguin India, who liked the video that I made on this box set, so very kindly offered to loan me these 2 hardcover box sets to make this video. In particular, this one, which is not even in print anymore. They also sent me this fantastic Tintin t-shirt, so let it not be said I don't know how to dress for the occasion. So let's put these side by side for a direct comparison. As you can see, these 2 box sets are identical, although this blue one is now out of print. Egmont no longer distributes this box set. This is the one that they've replaced it with. The blue set was labeled the Complete Collection, so it read Tintin the Complete Collection here in the back, whereas the red box, somewhat redundantly, is Tintin the Tintin Collection. Each of these box sets contain 8 volumes, the spines of which create an image in both cases. For the Complete Collection, it's this picture of Tintin on a rocking chair reading a newspaper with Snowy on a cushion next to him. And for the Tintin Collection, it's them in a red sports car. Although I consider myself a fan and have read the Adventures of Tintin several times over, I don't really recognize where these images are taken from. They could be from the original versions instead of the redrawn versions I'm more familiar with, or maybe they were created specifically for this edition, or maybe they are from the Adventures and I'm just getting old. Apart from the color and the spine artwork, the rest of the boxes are quite similar, with the same artwork of Tintin doffing his cap on both fronts and backs. At the back of the slipcase, where all of the adventures are listed, you find the real difference between these 2 sets. The Complete Collection, true to its name, also contains Tintin in the Congo, which has been left out of the new box set. If you've seen my video on the Anniversary Collection, you'll know that's also the case for this new box set. Tintin in the Congo is no longer published by Egmont. I'm guessing its inclusion in this box set was one of the few times that it was. Currently, it's brought out by Customen in a special hardcover edition. The inclusion of Tintin in the Congo in the first of the 8 volumes means that there are 24 adventures collected in this box set, as opposed to the 23 of the Tintin Collection and the Anniversary Collection, all 3 of them including the unfinished Tintin and the Alph-Art. Which means that in the case of the Complete Collection, Volume 1 contains Tintin in the land of the Soviets and Tintin in the Congo, whereas Volume 1 from the Tintin Collection goes from Tintin in the land of the Soviets straight to Tintin in America. In both cases, Volume 1 is the only volume to contain only 2 adventures. That's because Tintin in the land of the Soviets is a longer adventure, and subsequent volumes contain 3 adventures each. Although because Tintin in America appears in Volume 1 of the Tintin Collection as opposed to Volume 2, the order stays chronological, but the stories in each volume might be slightly different. For example, you've got America, Cigars of the Pharaoh, and the Blue Lotus in the Complete Collection Volume 2, which is Cigars of the Pharaoh, Blue Lotus, and the Broken Ear in the Tintin Collection Volume 2. Now, this doesn't really make much of a difference, except when you get to Volume 4 in the Complete Collection, where you've got The Crab with Golden Claws, The Shooting Star, and The Secret of the Unicorn, which Tintin fans will know is Part 1, continued and completed in Red Rackham's Treasure, which of course appears in Volume 5. So you need Volumes 4 and 5 to read this 2-part story, unlike with the Tintin Collection, where Volume 4 contains both of them in one volume. This is not the case with any of the other 2-parters, the way it works out. So Volume 6 in the Complete Collection contains both Destination Moon and Explorers on the Moon, and Volume 5 contains both the 7 Crystal Balls and Prisoners of the Sun. The only other difference in arrangement is in the last volume, Volume 8, which in the Complete Collection contains 4 adventures ending with Tintin and the Alph-Art, as opposed to 3 in Volume 8 of the Tintin Collection. As you can tell, these are both extremely well-produced box sets with very nice color and design, including things like the 6 letters of Tintin being spread out in the middle 6 volumes, with Volume 1 and Volume 8 blank on the sides in both cases, and the aforementioned art. Putting them right next to each other, the Tintin Collection seems slightly taller than the Tintin Complete Collection. If I compare them directly, the pages seem to be the same size, but the binding does seem to be slightly thicker, or should I say taller, in the more recent Tintin Collection. This is true for the binding of the individual volumes, as well as for the thickness of the individual boxes themselves, although the difference is really marginal. There's really no doubt that these are very well produced volumes. The binding is tight, the design is elegant, images of the original covers are included, but you also have a new design for the collection, unlike say the anniversary set, which is just a collection of the existing albums with no new design outside of the box itself. You have Herge and the Adventures of Tintin down the sides in the same way in both editions, and in both cases matching the colors of the individual volumes, and the box set is very pleasingly done. One small difference in the box design is that the earlier Complete Collection doesn't have those little cutouts on the sides of the boxes the way the Tintin Collection as well as the Anniversary Collection do, the things that allow you to put your fingers in and quickly slide a book out, which means that in most cases with this box you'd be tilting things forward, pushing things back, and then getting a book out in this way, which is really not that big a deal, and it's pretty much something that most people who own box sets will be used to. I should reiterate again that the Complete Collection is no longer in print from Egmont, although it is still available on Amazon and other online sites. That's probably because of the inclusion of Tintin in the Congo, something that Egmont doesn't want to publish or doesn't publish anymore. I'm not quite sure what it is, but this Congo-less set is easily available. All in all, these are very handsome sets. I love the color of both of these boxes. I love the way the books are designed. I like their binding. I like the design. I like everything except for the size. For me, a Tintin album looks like this and reads like this. Even with the Hyslop font from my childhood missing in these new Egmont editions, the full-sized albums with their full-sized cover and the artwork inside it in the original size is just a pleasure to behold. And no matter how handsome and how pocket-friendly and how shelf-friendly these editions are, I just can't bring myself to fully appreciate the shrinking down of the artwork as well as the effect it has on the new lettering, which to be honest to my ancient eyes feels a little too small. And that's too bad, because I love the idea of these box sets. I love the idea of saving on space by putting 2 or 3 volumes together and getting them hardbound, but this is the size I like. If only these were the Egmont hardcovers in this box set, that would be ideal, I think. But practically speaking, of course, I understand why that can't be done with the individual volumes. If I measure this, 24 albums comes to about 7 inches or 18 centimeters across. And if I measure my hardcover albums, 22 of them put together would be at least double that size. 15 inches or 38 centimeters would be the size of 3 Absolute Sandman editions. Completely impractical for a box. Absolutely not movable or giftable or storable in the way that these box sets are. Now, of course, Egmont could publish 2 or 3 full-sized albums together in one volume and save a little bit on spine space to do the kind of 2-in-1 or 3-in-1 design that they've done with these box sets only at full size in a box, but that would still be pretty huge, not to mention heavy. I think it's great there are options. For me, the hardcover Egmont editions are still the way to go. Ideally, they would have the Hyslop font in them, so it would be exactly the Tintin albums of my childhood except in hardcover. Barring that, this is the box set I would pick, having all 23 including Tintin and the Alph-Art, but there's no denying the handsomeness of production and the convenience of either of these box sets. So if you're a collector or if you like special edition designs, either of these or both of these are completely worth checking out. Maybe for someone who's never read them in the full size, these would be absolutely no problem, and if you are such a person, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Also, if you're a collector of rarities or curiosities, you might be interested in that one time that Egmont published Tintin in the Congo as part of their set. Of course, I'm a big fan of Tintin. I've probably made more videos on Tintin than any other comic on this channel, and you can check out my long Tintin playlist right over here. This contains an introduction, an overview of 22 albums, a look at some facsimile editions of original versions of Tintin before they were redrawn and colored, and much, much more. I hope you enjoyed this video. This has been, as always, for the love of comics. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you at the next video.